So what if I told you that the words you hear every single day have a hidden power? A power to influence your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, all without you even realizing it. Well, today we're diving headfirst into the pretty bold and, frankly, controversial claims in Dandelion Jones's book, Mind Control Language Patterns. Right from the get-go, the book hits you with this incredible idea that certain language patterns can act like hidden triggers, basically compelling us to do things without our conscious consent. Just think about that for a second. How much of what you do every day is really your choice? And that's really the big question here, isn't it? Is this stuff legit? Are we talking about actual psychological techniques? Or is it all just, mythology? Some kind of secret verbal jujitsu? Let's dig in and see what the book has to say. Okay, so before we get into the actual patterns, the how-to of it all, we really have to understand the foundation this whole idea is built on. And the book is super clear. This isn't about magic, spells, or anything like that. It's about psychology. See, these patterns weren't just pulled out of thin air. They're apparently rooted in some pretty established fields. We're talking neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, hypnosis, and good old-fashioned psychology. The author's whole point is that these are the result of studying what actually works on people. Now, this is the part you really need to get. The core idea is that words don't just label things, they actively create our reality. Think about it. If you call a project at work challenging versus impossible, doesn't that change how you feel about it? Or if you describe a feeling as disappointing versus devastating? According to the author, those words literally shape the experience, both for you and for anyone listening. And this brings us to a really crucial point in the book. This stuff is a double-edged sword. The patterns are presented as tools, kind of like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a house, to help someone overcome a phobia, build trust, land a job, or you can use that same hammer to tear things down, to create fear, to install doubt, and even worse. All right, let's start with the bright side. To make this feel a little more real, we're going to look at a couple of specific patterns the book lays out for, positive use. First up, we have something called the parts pattern, and the idea behind it is almost ridiculously simple. All you do is name a part of someone's personality, and in their mind, it suddenly becomes a real thing. For instance, if I were to say to you, there's a part of you that's deeply curious, what does your mind do? It immediately starts looking for that part, right? It feels real. Here's an example pulled right from the source. When you frame focus like this, you're not just nagging someone to pay attention. You're actually creating this little entity in their mind, a part whose only job is to shove distractions aside. It basically turns an abstract concept into your own personal bouncer. Okay, next up is a pattern that is so simple, yet the book claims it's incredibly powerful. And it all comes down to a single word that you and I use probably 100 times a day. So picture this. I say to you, this pattern is really easy to learn. What's your brain doing right now? It's waiting, isn't it? It's expecting a reason. It wants to know why. Because it was written in a book. Now, hold on. Logically, the fact that something's written in a book has zero to do with how easy it is to learn. But here's the kicker. Our brains are often just looking for the structure of a reason. The word because is like a little green light that says reason coming. And a lot of the time our brain just goes, okay, good enough, and accepts the statement without checking the logic. Kind of scary, right? All right, we have to look at the other side of the coin now. The book spends a lot of time on what it calls the dark or black ops patterns. And the author is very specific about why. It's so you can recognize them when they're being used against you. And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. Unlike the helpful patterns, the entire point of these is to throw someone into a negative headspace. We're talking about making them feel scared or doubtful or just plain confused, which of course makes them way more suggestible. Now, we're not going to explain how to do these, but just listen to some of the names right out of the book's table of contents. First, gaslighting. It's a term a lot of us know. It's all about making someone question their own perception of reality, their own sanity. Then you have patterns with these just genuinely chilling names. Things like boyfriend destroyers. I mean, the name alone tells you everything you need to know about the intent here. It's not about influence, it's about sabotage. And finally, patterns with brutally direct names, like the depression pattern. The book makes no bones about it. These are weapons designed for malicious use. It's pretty sobering stuff, and a really stark reminder of the power we're talking about. So, after going through the good, the bad, and the ugly, what are we supposed to take away from all this?
Well, the author boils it all down to one single, crucial point about power and responsibility.
And there it is. That's the core argument of the entire book. The claim is that these patterns are out there, being used all the time by salespeople, by politicians, maybe even in our personal lives, and if you're not aware of them, you are by default a target. So, you see, learning about this stuff isn't just about becoming a master persuader yourself. It's about understanding the game so you don't get played. It's about self-defense. In this world, awareness is both your sword and your shield. Which kind of brings us full circle. Now that you know about these concepts, now that you know language can create parts, that is simple because can hijack logic, that words can be engineered to build people up or tear them down, what are you going to notice now? In the ads you see, the news you hear, the conversations you have every single day. And maybe more importantly, how will you choose to use your own words?